Welcome back to PI Planning Therapy. So I have my favorite red shirt on today because it's Red Shirt Day maybe. But there'll be a prize for whoever can tell us in the comments who the it's on there, who the artist is. PI Planning Therapy, where you come for all your help with PI Planning. It's the best therapy you'll ever get, better than drugs. But today's therapy session, it's about risk. Oh dear, yes, it's about risk, that horrible, horrible thing that derails everything we do. And, so many arts have problems with it. The comments I get about, oh, we have risks we weren't prepared for, or we didn't understand them, or, we just have these things exploding out of the blue. We're going to talk a little bit about how to prevent that from happening and some of the little tricks that I use in order to avoid surprise risks, as it were. So it's very important with your risks that you can see them all, or as many as possible. That means your approach to risk identification is critical. I like SAFE's approach of breaking them into categories. Now, in SAFE, if you've done the training, of course, which you have, you'll know there is dependencies, which we have a nice little dependency wall, and we have a special way of mapping those inside our plan. And that principle is based on the idea that let's break out the biggest category of risks, which is dependencies. But there are other categories of risks that will really save your butt, really seriously save you. So don't just break out dependency and everything else. You break out what your dependencies are and what's the next biggest category of things that derail you. Assumptions. Teams are making assumptions all the time. They have to do that in order to function. They have to assume that a certain set of resources are going to be available, or that some certain data is available, or that a certain system is delivered on time. And so you don't want to bury those in the big pile of risk. You want to bring those assumptions out. And the main reason that you want to bring them out is that they can all be tested. They can all be tested when you're planning. So you can actually sit there at the end of the day, or when you're doing a gallery walk, reviewing with the leadership team at the end of the day, what are our plans like? You can go through those assumptions. You can ask architecture, there's an assumption here that we're not going to change the architectural model that we're using for our databases, and they can actually validate the risk at the time, validate that assumption at the time. So another one to split out, and you put this all on your team's wall. Another one to split out, along with assumptions, is issues. And you go, issues aren't risks. Well, issue handling is a risk. And that's what I mean. But it's easier to explain it to teams, just put your issues down rather than saying, put down the issues you have to handle that are a risk to the delivery of the plan. It's much easier just say, put your issues down. Because the issues are the third biggest category. And if they're hidden, the team is at a real risk of having this happy plan in this ideal world and not making visible to you or the art leadership what the real issues are that is preventing them from performing. Maybe there are issues around the stability of the test environment. Maybe there are issues around the availability of environments, or issues around inconsistency in data and things like that. Unless you ask those teams to make those things visible, there's a real risk they won't tell you. An even bigger risk that you won't have mitigation plans, or you won't have action plans because they're not there. You cannot see them. You cannot fix what you cannot see. So now we've broken out our dependencies in our plan. We've broken out our assumptions that we can validate. We've broken out our issues, which are risks in terms of their risk to the plan that we can now mitigate or handle. And then, of course, you have the last category, which is your general bucket of risks. What other things could go wrong? Normally, by the time you get down to that one, it's not a very big one, so it's quite easy to handle. So if you break down your risks in that way, dependencies, assumptions, issues, and general risks, and then you handle them during planning, during your reviews, going through one by one, you'll be in a much better position to have a strong, reliable plan. And that's what you're after in the end. So it's still applying the SAFE principle of breaking out the high category risks, but we're just doing it in a slightly different way. So there you go. How to improve your handling of risks. And don't forget, just identifying these risks, issues, assumptions, and dependencies in planning isn't enough. Putting them on the wall, a nice poster to look at. You need to be looking at these every scrum of scrums to make sure that they're under control, and you need to look for the mitigations in the plans. So there you go. That's it for this episode of PI Planning Therapy. I hope you're doing well and the drugs are working. The ones we sent you, you know the ones we sent you are working very, very well. We'll be back again soon with some more conversations. And next time we're going to talk about defects and how they've been derailing your plans. And you've done this beautiful plan and it's executing and it falls apart after 2 iterations because we've got all these defects. And what happened to all these defects? We'll talk about that next time. So come back soon for PI Planning Therapy and we'll solve all the world's problems together. Have a great day. Goodbye for now.